Hey everyone, welcome back to Bird Talk with Terrence Mathis. I'm William Brandon. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Atlanta Sports Unlimited, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss an episode. Well, I'm sure everybody knows by now, Kyle Pitts is a very rich man.
Yes.
He signed a
$32.9 million guaranteed with a $21 million signing bonus. You know, the highest drafted tight end in the football era at the number 4 pick. He's worthy of all the honors right now and the contract. Now, now that's out the way, and he knows that contract is guaranteed for 4 years with a fifth year option. Now he can just go play and play free.
Yeah, it's great. The Falcons will have him, like you said, through 4 years and then a fifth year player option. So for the foreseeable future, he will be the Falcons tight end.
Yes.
Uh, what kind of advice can you give Kyle Pitts in regards to being a new millionaire?
Change your phone number. Change your phone number or give your number. What I did, give your number. When you change your phone number, just make sure your mother has it,
Mhm.
because now everybody has to go through her to get through you. So my mom, that's what I did. And what my mom did was if any other family needed something, they had to come through her. She related to me, and then I say yay or nay, and then she relayed back to them, oh, we're not doing that. She said, let me be the bad person in all this. I was like, okay, mom, I like that. Let's do that. So that's one of the biggest advices I would give. And another advice I would give to him is, and this is really important.
Mhm.
This is really important. Get all your business out of your agent's office. When I say that, get your CPA out of there, your financial manager out of there, get your publicist out of there. You should just have an agent that takes care of your contract. You should go an outside source for marketing, outside source for a CPA, and outside source for money management. That way, there's checks and balances all through, because now you know where your money is and how to get to it. Because when you rely on one entity to take care of everything, I hate to say it, some money is gonna come up missing.
Okay.
It's just too much money. Because if you think about it, your agency is always gonna say, okay, 3%, the max. I want max of your contract, which is 3%.
Okay.
And then the financial guy is going to take 2% of everything. Every time he moves your money, he's going to take 2% of it. And then your
Wow.
CPA is going to charge you a certain amount to do your taxes whatsoever. And then the marketing end of it is always going to take somewhere between 15 and 20% of your marketing deals. So, you're thinking you're making a whole lot of money and money is being moved around. No, 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 no. You're losing money. So you need to get separate entities where you can negotiate with a CPA on how much I'm gonna pay you to do my taxes, where you can negotiate with a marketing firm to say this is how much I give you for marketing deals. And then for money manager, where it's basically saying, okay, we're gonna move money when you're gonna suggest when
Yeah.
we're gonna move money, and I can say yay or nay. You're not gonna just do it without my authorization.
Mhm.
And that's the key. And then your agent, all he knows is that I've done the contract and I know how much money he's getting from the contract. That way, hands stay clean. You know where everything is, and then at the end of the day, you know everything is good.
Well, that's some good advice. I mean, me personally, I never knew that was the best road to go. So not just for Kyle Pitts, the rest of the
For
draft
anybody.
class, yeah,
Yeah,
anybody,
for,
but
for
yeah,
anybody. Yeah, yeah.
because that's definitely important. Because I was going to ask you, why would you do separate entities, but
Mm,
that makes sense. You don't want it all in one house.
yeah.
Um, well, speaking of the other draft class, what's the impact this draft class will probably have on the future of these Atlanta Falcons? Because you know as well as I know in the past draft classes, we don't have a lot of those guys that are
Yeah.
still part of the
Well, I,
team.
I think it's important for this new regime with Arthur Smith at head coach and Fontenot. as the GM that retention is key for
Mhm.
this class. These guys is this is their class. This is their first class. So going into their next deals, it's important. Were they productive, and that we can re-sign them and keep building on, or do we start all over 4 years from now or 3 years from now with the new draft class? If you keep doing that, you're not going to get better. And the thing is, you always want to have retention, where now when you draft, you're not drafting for a home run hitter. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Now
Yeah.
you're drafting for a true need, not the cliche need. Oh, we're gonna draft the best available player. No, you're gonna draft a player where you need. So that's the key with this draft. Is this draft class is they need to get better and better each year by year 3 and 4, that they're big time contributors to this organization, where now the Falcons get the chance to save money, where they don't have to go in free agency, and then they can draft according to need instead of uh, trying to draft the next all pro football
Right
player.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, then speaking of that, like in our past draft classes from our past regime, what do you think is maybe the issue and why we don't have a lot of those guys left over from those draft classes?
Well, everyone, rightfully so, jumps on Dimitroff and his draft knowledge, his lack of draft knowledge whatsoever. But it takes more than one person to
Yeah.
screw up a draft and screw up drafts. You got pro personnel, college personnel, you got college scouts, pro scouts, you got all these entities, local scouts, area scouts. You have all these people who are bringing information to the GM
Hmm.
and to the director of player personnel and saying, here's what we gathered, and this guy fits the analytic of our football team. So, and then he has to just look at it on honor base and say, okay, yeah, that does look right. So now you even got to look at the analytical part. You got to look at the analytical team
Yeah.
also to make sure, wait a minute, is this matching up to what we're trying to do? So at the end of the day, it takes that whole group, that whole office, that whole regime to make a good draft class. So if they're not doing their due diligence, if they're not going if but at the end of the day, the GM sets up the parameters of what to look for.
Yeah.
And but at some point, somebody in that room has to say, that's not going to work.
Hmm.
Let's try it a different way. Maybe we should try it a different way. But that didn't happen because Dimitrov and Rich McKay was the final word. And as you see, where we are today
And
with the
I was
Atlanta
just going to
Falcons
ask you
organization.
that. Do you think Rich McKay still has involvement in?
What? What?
Answers my
I
question,
think I
buddy.
just answered that with my
Yes, you
expression,
did.
right? What?
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't hire a first time GM who openly came out and said that I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna lean on Rich McKay for this process. You have a first time young head football coach who most of his roster, well, a good bit of his roster is older than he is. So you don't think that Rich McKay has a part of what to say, or they go to him and ask for advice? Come on, that's what they wanted. Come on, that's what they wanted. Arthur and Rich said we're gonna step out of things and we're gonna let our new GM and our new head coach run the football part of it. You tell me what owner and what president of organization steps out of it and don't have a say what's going on in the football operations. You name one, and I tell you, okay, he's a multi billionaire. He just don't care. He just
Yeah.
wants a check every month.
I know I would be involved if I was an
Of
owner.
course, of
All the
course,
way down to the
of
end.
course. Yeah, of course.
The Falcons, I can say one thing, this year's schedule, looks like the Falcons, have a easy on paper, so to speak, based on last year's
Yeah,
results from the
yeah.
opponents. It seems like we have a pretty easy.
They, I think they have the third easiest schedule this season. And I think the Jets and I want to say maybe Philadelphia is the two teams that has they're 1, 2, and 3 right there. But that doesn't mean anything because you still got to play the games.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at their schedule, honestly, they should win a minimum of 8 games and probably a maximum of somewhere between 10 and 11. And if they do that, that's playoff caliber football team.
Okay. Yeah. The schedule thing, it's always, those things are always like hit or miss because you just never know. Like you say, you got to go out there and play. And I'm sure that the teams that were 2-14 last year have a chip on them shoulder, or
Right,
three and
right.
13, or whoever we play.
Exactly.
They're going to
Exactly.
want to prove they're not
Exactly.
that bad.
Yeah.
We also talked about free agents the last episode. Which
Yes.
ones might be a good fit for Atlanta? And one name in particular that continues to draw traction is the former Colts defensive end linebacker Justin Houston, who's
Yes.
also from the state of Georgia, who
Yes.
played ball at UGA.
Yes.
He's a proven pass rusher, and the Falcons still need to secure
Yeah.
that position with some
Yeah.
guaranteed production.
First of all, he's from Statesboro High School here in Statesboro, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Went to UGA. So he's a homeboy. He's a hometown hero. And we don't get many of those playing for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be good. I don't even think we really draft many Georgia players.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've done Georgia Tech, but Georgia for some reason we got them in free agency, but we never. I don't think we ever drafted one in a long time from the
Mm-hmm.
University of Georgia. So bringing Justin Houston home, who just came off 2 years in Indy with 19 sacks. And then you got in a 10-year career, he has 97 and a half sacks. Now, if that doesn't sell you to get a guy, remember we talked long time ago that okay, I keep calling him Big O
At
because
Big
I can't
AO, I was
pronounce
just about to ask you.
I can't pronounce his name. He can step in and play, but then you got a veteran that comes in on third down in the Justin Houston. I pay him on a 1 year deal just to rush the quarterback because he's in his 10th year, but he's close to 100 sacks.
Yeah.
So he can get you 10 and 12 sacks coming off the bench. So, and I'm telling you with this, and I keep saying if you put Debo, Deion Jones on one side, Justin Houston, Dante Fowler, and the others, that linebacker crew is probably will be the best in the league. Dan P's defense is predicated on the linebacker position,
Yeah.
and the more linebackers, and I think it was the Copeland kid out of the Patriots that we signed.
Yeah.
Yes, where's I'm telling you, that front seven could be in the top 5 in the league this year if they sign Justin Houston.
I sure hope so, and I'm sure we're going to get comments on that.
Well, here's the
People are gonna be
comments.
like, ah.
Here's the comments you're gonna get, and I know there's one comment you're gonna get. Well, he stays in trouble, or he did this. He failed a drug test coming out of college, and he's not a really good dude whatsoever. And I get that. I get that. Um, but he's not running for president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He's just playing football. And the thing is that over the last few years or so, he's been a good citizen that I know of.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're not we're we have been as the Atlanta Falcons, we have been in a business mode of putting out a good, wholesome, quality football team it's that is almost that we're trying to make it marketable for sale.
Yes.
That's what I see. That's my opinion. I'm not saying that's what's happening. That's my opinion. But sometimes you got to have that rogue individual in the program that pushes the envelope to the point where it makes your team a little edgy,
Yeah.
you know, and where now when that team gets off the bus and come to the stadium, they're already down 3 or 7 points because of your team plays with that edginess of, I'm not saying dirty, but that edginess
Yeah.
of knowing that you're gonna get hit in the mouth at the opening kickoff. And Justin Houston brings that attitude to a football program.
Yeah. I don't remember when the Falcons D, maybe when when you were playing, they might have had that people was afraid to play them, but yeah, I don't remember when other teams were mentioning the Falcons defense. Like, oh no, we got to worry. We
But
got these hard hitters coming.
yeah, Abraham,
Yeah.
when he was playing, he was that force off the edge, and then you had, of course, you had Jesse Hammer
Hmm.
Tuggle, when he was Chuck Smith coming off the edge. So you had some dudes back in the day, but just in the last 10 years or so, uh,
We thought Vic Beasley was going to be it, but
yeah, yeah, I did too. But it things happen. I tell people all the time, this is probably the toughest city to play in as a young man.
yeah.
There's so much candy around the city. There's so much things to do around this city that can be a distraction to you. Um, and plus, this fan base is more critical, I feel, than any other fan base in the National Football League because they want instant right now. And they want to be able to say that you belong to us and that's ours. So whenever they travel, they want to be able to say that, hey, Calvin Ridley, that's our dude.
Hmm.
They want to be able to say when they go to Tampa Bay and wake up Sunday morning and pick up the sports page that your guy is on the front page, i.e., Michael Vick.
Hmm.
Now everybody wants to go see Michael Vick. Even the opponent fans, like, I got to go to this game to see Michael Vick.
Yeah.
We we've had that with that other dude that just left and went to Tennessee, where people say, I want to go see that dude. But
Hmm.
now, who's going to be that next dude where when you go to visiting stadiums, fans wake up and say, "Ooh, I want to see what such and such going to do for the Atlanta Falcons." You
Well,
know,
I hate to pour salt in the wound, Falcon fans, but if they would have had Justin Fields, that would have did it.
you know what? That probably would have did it.
They would have
And
sold tickets and everything with that.
speaking of that, and we're talking about players. I looked at something. CBS Sports put out this thing about the top rosters in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Mhm.
The Falcons ranked 29 out of 32,
Goodness
the
gracious.
bottom of the list in rosters. And they said it wasn't, even with the loss of Julio Jones, the offense will still do good. They
Yeah.
said the jury is still out on this defense. You don't know because there's not a guy that like we just talked about that you fear, or a group of guys that you fear. But you add Justin Houston to the mix,
Yeah.
I guarantee you they jump up in the middle of pack of roster. Then they jump up in the middle of pack of total defense. And guess where we are? We're in the playoffs. We're in the playoffs.
And you're okay though with Justin just playing third downs or
Well,
running
I
more.
don't I don't think I would think this is what I would think. I would think he would set the tempo for this defense, and then you still have a young guy that can give him rest and do a really really good job
Yeah.
um, spelling Houston when he needs to.
And definitely giving him some leadership and teaching him about the NFL.
Exactly. That's the guy you want in your meeting room. That's the
Mhm.
guy you want in that defensive end, that edge rusher. You want that guy in the outside linebacker. You want that guy in that meeting room. He's played in championship games.
Mhm. Yes.
He's played from high school all the way throughout. He's played in championship games. He's a championship caliber defensive player that would help this team win football games.
From the borough.
Yeah, from the borough.
At the time of us taping this right now, the Hawks are 2-2 with the Bucks. Hopefully, when y'all watch this, the Hawks are up 3-2. But Terrence, you know a thing or two about basketball. You played
Yeah,
basketball in high school and in college.
yeah. You know,
What position did you play first off?
I was a point guard. I was
Okay.
a point guard in high school. It was funny because as a senior, I sat there in my living room with my mom, and we were discussing possibilities. You know, we was weighing the possibilities. Do you go to college to play basketball? Do you go to college to play football?
Mhm.
And I was debating on what I wanted to do because I had a passion for basketball. And and then she says, "Well, what do you think?" I says, "Well, probably not gonna grow to be 6 feet tall or 6'1". Um, and football is what I've been doing most of my life, and it's probably where it's going to take me. Football will take me where I want to go,
Yeah.
with an easier path than basketball. And then she says, "Well, go with your heart." And I went with my heart, and I went with football. So I get to the University of New Mexico. Gary Colson, who's from the state of Georgia. I remember running into him, and he introduced himself to me. He says, "I know all about you whatsoever. Why don't you come out and play basketball after the football season?" I'm like, maybe. So I didn't do it my freshman year. But when basketball was season, or when freshman, during the summer, the basketball players would come in the gym and they'd take one court, and they would always ask me to come over and play. And I would come over. So they'd pick teams. What's over the older guys, upperclassmen. The two captains would pick teams, and I was always the first point guard picked
Okay.
over the point guards that they played with, and we never lost. We never lost. And so I never played. And finally, my senior year, well, after my junior season, I decided I was going to go out and play, and I dressed for a couple of games, and I got into some academic situations, had to leave the team. But my junior year, uh, they were gearing me up to be the starter going into conference play.
Hmm.
And then I got into some academic situations, and I had to leave the team whatsoever. And at the time, Luke Longley, the
Yep. Chicago
three-time
Bulls.
champion center for the Chicago Bulls, was the center at my university when we was playing. I remember we were scrimmaging, and I take it to the basket, and I'm up in the air. Back then, before I had knee troubles,
Mhm.
I dunked basketball as good as anybody.
Okay.
I get up, and I'm up high, and here come this 7-footer. What? I'm like, oh my God. You had to alter your shot. I was doing floaters before floaters was popular because
Dang.
of that 7-footer. I played, I remember Michael Cooper, former Laker.
Hmm.
Uh, he had a camp, and he invited some NBA guys there. And I went to the camp, and then we went back to his house, and me and Tim Hardaway were
Okay.
shooting in the backyard of Michael Cooper's house.
Y'all about the same size, ain't you?
Yeah, yeah. So it became a battle now.
Hmm.
Let's play one-on-one. Best out of three.
Okay.
He wins the first one. I win the second one. Now, by this time, all the campers have come back from the camp, and they all surrounding the court, sitting down watching us play. So we were going to five, and it was a battle. It's 4-4, and he beats me by 1 point, and afterwards he was like, "Woo." We talked. I remember he leaves. He calls me on the phone and says, "Hey man, look, you come train with me for a whole summer. I guarantee you can play in the NBA."
Dang.
And I said, it was after my rookie year in the NFL.
Hmm.
And I said, man, I don't know if I can just walk away from money for a whole year.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I was getting paid a whole lot of money where I
Yeah.
saved up a lot where I could do that.
Yeah.
And I look back sometimes and say, man, I kind of, regret that situation. Then I had a situation when I came here to Atlanta after leaving the Jets, um, playing a lot of all-star celebrity basketball games, a lot of NBA guys. And I remember getting a phone call, and my agent says to me, "Hey, I just got a phone call from, I can't think of the GM. Stan was it Stan Caston? I think at the time was the GM, and he said that someone called him from the Hawks player personnel department and asked would I be interested in playing basketball? And I said, yeah, I'd be interested in playing basketball. So he made the phone call. He called me back and he says, well, look, here's the deal. They don't want a Deion Sanders type situation
Mhm.
where, you're playing football and then you playing, come and play
Basketball.
basketball. They wanted you there full time because, the two seasons kind of overlap.
Yeah. Yep.
And again, I said, I don't know if I can just walk away from football as a starter, former all pro, all
Hmm.
you know, pro bowler whatsoever, to be 10th, 11th, 12th man on the bench on the NBA team. And I told myself, well, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that was it for me.
Well, that's
So
awesome though. Hey.
that's why I so love the NBA. And that's why I so love this Hawks team. Remember the last time I talked about they didn't know any better. They young, and then they get beat by Milwaukee after I said that. Then
Mhm.
they come back and beat Milwaukee with Trey Young on the bench.
Yep.
That's what you're talking about. That's leadership from the bench, which is the head coach and his assistants. That's a team that says, even though our best player is out, we're gonna rally and do what we do and show that we can play too and win a basketball game. Falcons, you just lost Julio Jones. So what? You lost your best football player. So what? No need to cry over spilled milk. Look, you other guys are professionals too. You get paid to go play football and win football games and don't look back.
Exactly. They've got to, like I said before, they need to get that swag, that vibe,
Yeah, yeah,
something that the Hawks
yeah,
have, and definitely
yeah.
that rally around that Nate McMillan was able to do, the coaching changes that he's been able to make.
William, William, I have not seen this city on fire since 1998. This city has put their arms around this basketball team. And oh, you can't, if you say something bad about this basketball team, you might get hit upside the head.
You know,
This team is remarkable. They're fun to watch. The fans are incredible. Incredible. Just all the stuff that's out there that says Hawks and this, it's fun to see. I haven't seen this much excitement since 98.
mhm,
And I believe they're gonna beat Milwaukee
I do
and
as well.
and that will be a great finals with the Phoenix Suns and the Atlanta Hawks. Oh my God, Trey Young and Devin Booker.
Yeah,
Woo,
it'll
man,
definitely be exciting. I know that's for sure.
man,
I know
man.
the powers that be claim that the NBA was mad because the Lakers were out and these other big name teams were out. But I think this will be a great NBA Finals if it's Suns Hawks. Like you said, that'll be so entertaining because they're both well rounded teams. They play good
Well,
team basketball,
yeah.
and I
I
expect
mean, both
good
both
competitive
teams
game.
have great coaches, great
Mm-hmm.
men.
Yeah.
Both teams have really good point guards. I'm so happy for Chris Paul that he gets a chance after 16 years to play in the NBA Finals, and that's a story in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And for this team who was basically at the bottom going into the All-Star break, Nate McMillan takes over this basketball team, and this was the best basketball team in the NBA since the All-Star break.
Yeah.
This is a story. It's an incredible story.
Yeah, let's go Hawks. Let's go ahead and win this game. Like I said, right now as we're taping, it's 2-2. So when you watch, the Hawks should be up 3 games to
Yes,
two. You
yes.
got anything else for them this week,
You know
T?
what? It's at the end of the day, I keep reading something and seeing stuff that this is that uh, it's funny, and this is what we've been hearing most of our lives. It says it basically goes, love your enemies, love your enemies, pray for them, uh, cheer for them, whatsoever, and with that, a blessing is is waiting for you. And I have to look at that because I have so much animosity for different things.
Mhm.
And I say, even on this show, I say things that may seem like it's hatred towards something or situation, but it's not. It's just a passion that I have whatsoever. And there's things, you know, you fans out there, you go through things and you have animosity towards people whatsoever. Um, I do too. You know, at the end of the day, that I have things that I have to work on. I have to get over things that I felt that hurt me in the past. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be a wall for you to go forward to be successful. Just brush it off, forget about it, move on, because there's a blessing on the other side of that wall for you.
It's the DIO.
All right, everybody. Appreciate it, MT.
Yeah.
Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to subscribe.
Check the room, your ears wax and smooth tracks. Bass